To another episode of the State Sub Podcast. I'm your host, Brant Freeman. Very special guest joining us today. Typically in the podcast, we visit with student athletes, sometimes the head coaches, sometimes former players. But today, our guest is an assistant coach with Texas State's very successful volleyball program, Keith Anderson, who has been with the program since 2020, jumped on board when Sean Hewitt took over as the head coach. And he and the Bobcats are getting ready for a big two-match series this weekend at home against Southern Miss, coming off of their two-match sweep on the road this past week of ULM. And Coach Anderson joins us now. Coach, how are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Brant.
Yeah, thanks for being on the podcast here with us, Coach. And let's just kind of start with the season so far for the team. I've gotten a lot of perspective from Coach Hewitt. I've talked to some of the players throughout the season as well. But I'd love to hear your take on how the season has gone so far.
Yeah, it's been a tough season from the standpoint of a lot of travel, but I think down the stretch here, it's gonna turn out to be pretty good for us. We're at home this weekend, and then we go to Coastal, and then we get JMU at home before we head to the conference tournament. I feel like this group has been pretty battle tested with the travel, playing tough opponents. So we're excited with the rest of the season and the opportunity to continue to get better.
You mentioned all the travel. I mean, this team, like you were living out of your suitcase, for the better part of the first 6 weeks of the year. What was that experience like? Because you didn't play your first home match until the first weekend of October. What was that like for you when the season began?
Man, that was tough. When we put the schedule together, obviously the debate was supposed to happen. And so we were trying to work around that. I don't think we knew it was going to be tough, but I don't think we realized how tough it was actually going to be until we were kind of in the middle of it. The Hawaii trip was amazing. We were so fortunate to be able to go and play in Hawaii. That venue is incredible. Those fans are amazing. Really fun program, fun place to play. But even that trip itself was so long. Being away from your bed is really, really difficult. Our kids with classes, I'm in a master's program right now here at Texas State. And so me not having the time to really sit down and study where I like to study was difficult. So I know it was hard for our team to kind of figure that out and navigate that. But yeah, that first 5 weeks of season was really tough. The fact that we didn't get to play at home until week 6 for volleyball was nuts. And then we were at home for week 6, but then we were back on the road for week 7. So it was exhausting. It was tiring. But again, we're hoping that it's something that's going to benefit us down the road the rest of the way.
But you said it, of all the trips that you did take, I have to imagine Hawaii was the most entertaining trip. I think that's now twice that you've been there with this team. What's the experience like over there in the islands?
Yeah, it's awesome. It feels like you're in a completely different world. Time feels like it moves a little bit slower. The hotel that we stayed at, you could look out the window and see the ocean right there. So it was definitely surreal. Like it's a really cool place to be, and getting to play volleyball there, which is, coaching is my favorite thing ever. So it was nice. It was really, really nice to be there for sure.
One of the other cool things that came out of non-conference play was your head coach, Sean Hewitt, getting his milestone 100th win. What was that experience like, and how did the team celebrate with him?
Yeah, it was awesome. We love to celebrate Sean. He's so good at celebrating all of us all the time. He's probably the best at that. He's such a giver. He's so selfless. So anytime we get the chance to celebrate with him and his victories and his milestones, we go crazy with it. So got to get him with some silly string. He was upset with me afterwards because he was like, "Can't we just do water?" And I'm like, "No, man. Like, we got to go the silly string route, make you clean some stuff up." So, no, it was awesome. We love Sean. We love supporting him and celebrating him all the time.
How far back does your relationship go with Sean Hewitt?
Yeah, I think the first time I met Sean was my freshman year of college. I was at A&M and he was here at Texas State. I was really good friends with Shelby Irvin, who sat here from 7 to 11. We were good friends in high school. And so when they came to play A&M my freshman year, I went and met Shelby, and she ran off the bus. They were getting ready to leave. She ran off the bus to give me a Texas State volleyball T-shirt. And in that process, I got to meet Sean, and our relationship has just kind of developed over the years. So I've known him for a really, really long time.
So when he got the head coaching job, certainly you were happy for him.
Mm-hmm.
How long was it afterwards when he took over for Karen Chisholm? Did you get the phone call to join his staff?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So he found out he got the job, and I think I was probably one of his first phone calls or texts. But I didn't really know exactly what he was thinking until after we went to the AVCA convention that year, which is surrounded by the Final Four for volleyball. So it was in December when it all actually came to fruition. He told me that he wanted to hire me. There was a period where I was like, oh man, like this would be cool. Like I would love to work with Sean. But he was being like, and he says he wasn't, but he was being really like secretive about his thoughts. And I mean, it's valid because he had to interview other people and things like that. But me and Tori both, because Tori was the other one that he hired whenever he got the head job. We both were like, wait, have you talked to Sean? Have you talked to Sean? We're like, yes, but he isn't really saying anything. So, and he swears that he told us that he was going to offer us, but we don't remember it that way.
So looking at your own coaching career, you were at Delaware before you came over here to San Marcos to join Coach Hewitt's staff. Spent time at UTA before that. You referenced your time at Texas A&M. You were a player for the club team over there, winning a national championship. You were, I think, the all-tournament libero. Yep. At playing for the Aggies. So take me through your journey a little bit, from playing at that club level to working your way up the ranks. What has the experience all meant to you?
Yeah, I got the chills just kind of thinking about that because I'm originally from Chicago, but I moved to Spring, Texas in 5th grade. And then in the middle of my junior year of high school, we moved back up to Illinois after Hurricane Katrina. And whenever I moved, I found out they had boys volleyball, and I was like, this is kind of cool. And so I decided to try out. I didn't make the team, but they wanted to have me as a manager. So I did that my junior year. And then going into my senior year, I tried out for a boys club team in the area, and I made that. And then tried out for high school again my senior year and ended up making the team. And I was the starting libero. So that was kind of cool because whenever I first got into it, like I didn't even know how to hit a ball like at the wall. I was like serving the thing whenever you're supposed to hit it down and have it bounce off. And so anyway, I just took into training and practicing and working really hard at it and kind of developed this love and passion for the game. And then I decided to go to school back in Texas. I went to A&M. I tried out for the men's club team at A&M, ended up making it. And that's really where I started to develop a passion for coaching because I was a practice player for the women's team there as well. And so I got to kind of be behind the scenes, listening to the coaches there, and the way that they coached and taught was something that I really respected and enjoyed listening to them and learning from them. And so I coached like some camps in the summer with A&M. I decided to get into club coaching, started that, and that was really successful. And by the end of my junior year, the year that we won the national championship, I was like, I love this sport so much. Like, how can I figure out a way to make this my life and make a living out of it. So I decided I was going to get into coaching, college coaching. I volunteered at Rice University, had an amazing experience there under Jenny Volpe. And then from there, she helped me get my first full-time job at UTA, and I was there for 2 years under Diane Seymour. And then after that, I went to the University of Delaware for 3 years under Sarah Matthews, had a phenomenal time there with that staff, Sarah and Kim. Kim's the current head coach now. Loved my time with them. We had a lot of ups and downs throughout our 3 years together, but every year we got better and won more and more matches. So, that led me to Texas State and Sean bringing me over here. And I've been here this is now season 5, which is crazy to think about. But my volleyball playing and coaching journey is kind of unique, I feel like, in that I didn't grow up around it, and I kind of had to work and push through the development piece of it, fueled by my passion and love for the game. So I'm happy to be at Texas State. My path hasn't necessarily been easy, but I've enjoyed every step of the way.
And I think about the very first year that you were here at Texas State. COVID hits. Mm-hmm. You get the job in January of 2020. I think it's 3 months later the pandemic hits. And then the team attempts to play through the pandemic and do so really well. You make the NCAA tournament. You win a first-round game, go to the second round, that year. But what was that experience like? You come on board into San Marcos. 3 years later, the world changes. What was that first season like for you?
Yeah, it was interesting. And one of the things I will say about my time at Delaware is Chrissy Raywalk is the athletic director there, and she did such an amazing job at creating a culture where, the staff spent a lot of time together. And so I got to know a lot of people at the University of Delaware in the athletic department, and developed a lot of good relationships and connections with people. And so when I came to Texas State, we literally started our spring training, and then right before spring break, we decided to take the team to a Post Malone concert, which was awesome. And then we went on spring break, and almost, it was like we never really came back until August, when we were the only conference in the country that decided we were going to have a full volleyball season. And that was rough, getting tested, getting that thing shoved up our nose 2 to 3 times a week, having to wear masks, be in this bubble. And it was really tough, but we did get to play a full season. So when a lot of people didn't have that to look forward to, we did. So we were fortunate in that way, and we knew that. And yeah, we had a great fall. We ended up winning the conference tournament. And then we kind of had to readjust because we were the only conference that played our full fall conference schedule. In the spring, we basically joined the Big 12 and played a bunch of Big 12 teams to prepare for the NCAA tournament to get us ready for that.
As I said, Sean Hewitt took over the mantle left behind by Karen Chisholm, and she obviously, is a legend around here. A lot of banners are up at Strain Arena because of her. There was such a strong foundation of success, and it really feels as if that this staff is really built upon that as well. What are the expectations like at a place like this at Texas State when it comes to this program?
Yeah, that's what I love about this place the most is the culture. The expectation is to win and to compete for championships. And everyone that's a part of this program knows that and understands that and is bought into that. And so we're always working towards that. Chisholm did a phenomenal job. She's so well respected in the volleyball community. Everybody knows who she is. We think, San Marcos, she's big here, but she's big nationally. People know who Karen Chisholm is. So much respect to her for the program that she's built. And I know Sean is trying to build upon that legacy as well. And that's something that's communicated to every recruit that we bring on campus, everybody that we interact with, from a donor perspective, anybody who wants to know or interacts with Texas State volleyball. I think they get the feeling that we're expected to win and compete for championships.
Getting into the X's and O's here with you for a minute, you coach the defense here. So you work a lot with the middles, you work with the back row, the defensive specialists, the liberos. As far as this season goes, what is your assessment of the way the defense is played?
Yeah, it's been good. Last season we were fifth in the nation in blocks per set, which is freaking awesome. This year our block is still pretty solid. We're in the top 3 in the conference in blocks per set. We want to continue to push to number 1. Back row defense is in a pretty good spot. Once our front row cleans up a little bit of technique things, on the block front row, it's a lot easier to play defense behind that. But I think we're in a pretty good place right now with where we're at defensively and how we're defending teams. The mindset of our girls is awesome. They're relentless in their pursuit to make sure that we keep the ball off the floor and off our side. So I'm happy with where we're at right now defensively.
How would you describe the personality of this year's team? Every team is different. Again, when you took over, that was part of the stretch, the great stretch. Emily DeWalt, Janelle Fitzgerald, those two have been gone now for a couple of seasons. This year's team is different than those teams have been. They had their own personality. This team has theirs. How would you describe that?
Competitive. This is a really, really competitive group. They just want to win so bad. Whether it's a drill in practice, a match, any chance they get to compete, they eat that up. So we're super fortunate and excited about that. And again, we may not have won all of the matches that we've wanted to this season so far, but with what we have left and the opportunities we have left, this group is ready to compete for that.
Yeah, this group knows how to win. I think about this group, and a good chunk of it was a part of the team last year that earned an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament after getting shut out the year before, despite having a really strong resume. Take me back to that moment in time when you did have your name called last year. What did that mean for the program?
Oh, that was like the best experience, the best feeling ever. Feeling slighted the year before, we felt like we had the resume and had done the work to get an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament. And when our names didn't get called, I just remembered that feeling. And when it got called last year, it was just the coolest thing in the world, knowing that we put in the work, had the resume, had the wins we needed. The way that the committee respected us in that moment was really huge for us, and I think gave us a lot of confidence as a program. So best moment I've had at Texas State so far by far.
Well, still a lot more moments to come, including
Sure.
this season here for you, Coach. Let me ask you this. If you could fill in the blank for me here, to compete for a Sun Belt championship, this season, this year's team has to do what?
We got to be more consistent. That's it. We play extremely high level volleyball, and then we'll dip down out of that. I think if we play a little bit more consistently, start to finish, we will definitely do what it takes to bring that championship back to San Marcos.
Well, Coach, this has been great. On these podcasts, as I said at the top, we don't get a chance to visit with assistants very much. A lot of our conversations are rightfully so with the student athletes and telling their stories, sometimes the head coaches, but we know it's more than that kind of, makes a program what it is. I've known, the job that you've done with this program since you came on board. So it's great to finally get a chance to visit with you, pick your brain a bit, get to know more about your career. So thank you so much for joining us here, and best of luck the rest of this season.
Awesome. Thanks, Brant. Appreciate you.
You got it. Well, that again, assistant coach Keith Anderson for Texas State Volleyball joining us on the States Up podcast. Team the Bobcats, a huge 2-match series again this weekend against Southern Miss in Sun Belt Conference play. For Coach Anderson, I'm Brant Freeman. As always, reminding you to keep those States up, and we'll see you next time.